Welcome to this deep dive. We are tackling really a pivotal moment in the War of the Ring. It's a journey that sort of defies all military expectations.
Absolutely. It delivers what might be the most, well, profound narrative catharsis in the whole saga.
Exactly. We're tracing the road to Isengard, Saruman's big industrial fortress, that place everyone thought was just impregnable, a symbol of industrial malice, really.
And the setup is just dripping with tension, isn't it?
Totally. You've got the company King Théoden, Aragorn back in the mix, Legolas Gimli, and Gandalf, of course. They're riding out literally right after the battle at Helm's Deep.
That incredibly bloody, hard-won defense of the Hornburg.
Yeah. And if you think about it from, like, a military standpoint, the expectation is pretty grim.
Oh, absolutely. They must be thinking, okay, now we face a siege.
Right, against this powerful wizard, Saruman, who's retreated behind these massive, thick walls built specifically to keep armies out.
Impregnable walls, as they say.
But the sources we've shared, they tell a completely different story. And that's what sets up this deep dive, really. It's built around this shocking twist, almost unbelievable.
When they actually get there.
When they arrive, they find Isengard not under siege, but utterly, well, the source says, transformed.
Transformed. Not by swords, not by spears, not even by Gandalf's magic.
No, it was humbled. Defeated by the living, overwhelming power of nature itself.
The forest strikes back.
Pretty much. So our mission here is to dissect this huge reversal, understand exactly how the Ents pulled this off, how these ancient shepherds of the forest delivered such swift, decisive justice against all that industrial hubris. Okay, let's unpack this.
That reversal, as you said, it hinges entirely on understanding the emotional state of those riders. They're coming straight from Helm's Deep.
Right. What's the mood?
Well, the sources really emphasize this feeling of hard-earned relief. You have to picture them. They've just survived this nightmare battle, non-stop fighting through the night.
Against the Uruk-hai, in the mud, in the dark, facing almost certain death.
They won, yes, but they are absolutely drained, physically, mentally, spiritually exhausted.
And then they ride out.
They ride out into the daylight, across a landscape that's still fundamentally, scarred by battle.
You can probably still smell it.
Exactly. Think about the senses. The horror of night is gone, sure, but now there's this harsh morning light. The air is crisp, maybe, but there's also that lingering smell, metallic, like blood.
And trampled grass, mud, fury.
Yes, that sort of Swedish awful stench of trampled earth and just spent rage. The company must be desperate for rest, just a moment to process the sheer terror they lived through.
It's that cruel thing about high-stakes conflict, isn't it? You win this huge defensive battle, you save Rohan, basically. You should get a break.
You'd think. A week off, maybe.
But no, it just immediately opens up the next crisis, the next front line. And Gandalf, he gets this completely.
He absolutely does. Helm's Deep was massive, yes.
Yeah.
It secured Rohan's immediate safety, but it did zero, really, to dismantle the main threat.
The poison at the center. Saruman still sitting in his tower, Orthanc.
Precisely. And that necessity, that understanding, is why Gandalf becomes the absolute pace setter for this next leg of the journey.
He pushes them.
The sources are clear. He sets the pace, urging haste. He's not just riding fast, he's projecting this urgency. It overrides the exhaustion everyone else feels.
Why, though? Why the immediate rush?
Because Gandalf sees Helm's Deep as just half the war. Saruman, even with his army smashed, is still dangerous. He's a master manipulator, that voice of his.
And all that dangerous knowledge he has stored up.
Exactly. Give Saruman even a few days, and what happens? He starts to adjust. He could call back scattered forces, maybe try to negotiate, or worse, unleash something new.
Some other kind of ruin.
Gandalf knows they have to exploit the chaos, capitalize on the momentum, especially after the Ents showed up at the Hornburg and scattered the last of Saruman's host.
Ah, right. Use the enemy's confusion.
This immediate, relentless push forward is designed to stop Saruman from getting his balance back. They need to break his will before he can regroup or change his plans.
Which means no time for rest, no relief, even though they're utterly crushed by fatigue.
None.
That urgency, it really resonates, doesn't it? I mean, if you've ever been in one of those high-pressure work situations.
Oh, yeah.
You have this temporary success, maybe a huge win in one area, but then immediately you have to pivot, jump straight into the next crisis before the pressure even drops.
That feeling of, okay, done, what's next? Now.
Exactly. The triumph is fleeting. The pressure to get the bigger long-term win is immediate. It feels almost modern, that kind of pressure, but here it is in this mythic journey.
It really connects that grand drama back to something familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You close the big deal, but the next client's already calling.
Right. The urgency doesn't go away just because you did well the first time.
Gandalf's acting like the ultimate CEO here, maybe. The strategist who sees the window is closing.
The window to deal with Saruman decisively.
It's narrow. They have to hit him at his core Isengard, while he's still reeling from losing his army so unexpectedly.
What I find so brilliant about how Tolkien structures this part, he doesn't just drop the surprise on them, boom, Isengard's wrecked.
No, he builds it slowly.
He starts priming us, the readers and the writers too, for this astonishment that's coming. He uses the environment.
The landscape itself starts talking.
Yeah. As the company gets closer to Saruman's domain, the sources point out these signs. The land itself seems to be screaming that a huge battle, one they completely missed, has already happened.
What are the first signs?
Well, the first clue is really auditory and visual. It's the river Essen. It's described as churning with an unusual force.
Not just flowing fast, but unnaturally forceful.
Exactly. Rivers have rhythms, right. This is wrong. It implies something huge, catastrophic happened upstream, like a dam breaking, maybe, or just a massive, sudden release of water.
It's a sound of chaos, of uncontrolled power.
It is. And that sound, that's the first real crack in their expectation of finding a fortress ready for a siege.
Yeah, you'd expect guards on the walls, maybe smoke from forges, silence, or the clang of hammers, not the roar of a river gone wild.
Exactly. That chaotic sound sets you up for the visuals. Next up. The trees.
Ah, the trees around Isengard.
The sources describe them as standing torn, yet strangely triumphant. I just love that phrase.
Torn, yet triumphant. It says so much.
It really does. They're clearly damaged, right? They've got scars from fighting Saruman's orcs, maybe his machines, but triumphant, that means they weren't beaten. They're standing like warriors who just won a really tough fight.
Wearing their scars with pride, as you said.
Yeah.
That phrase, strangely triumphant, it also signals something crucial, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests the battle was fought by nature, not just in nature.
Ooh, good point. The trees were active participants.
Actors, not just scenery. It's an early hint that the Ents, the shepherds of these trees, were the ones who orchestrated this.
And then there's the final clue, the big one. The earth itself. The text says it seems to have shifted.
Shifted, like an earthquake.
It implies something that profound, yeah. Not just surface damage, but like the ground itself was disturbed. Roots torn up, soil moved around. The earth itself used as a weapon, maybe?
Wow. So these aren't just random observations.
No way. They're critical pieces of Tolkien's craft. They build suspense, but in an unusual way, by displacing the expected threat.
They force the heroes and us to rethink everything instantly. What did we miss?
Right. They heighten the tension as they approach this feared fortress, but crucially, as the source notes, they prepare the reader for the astonishing truth.
So when they finally see it, it makes sense, even though it's shocking.
We arrive expecting a standard military scene fortress intact, ready for assault, but these clues tell us the fight we anticipated. It's already over, decided in a way nobody could have predicted. It's a slow reveal that makes the payoff even better.
It's masterful storytelling.
Here's where it gets really interesting. They're riding towards this icon of modern destructive power, fully expecting the fight is still ahead of them. Instead, they find the aftermath. Judgment already delivered. The clues suggest the fortress wasn't beaten by strategy or siege engines. It was just rendered obsolete by the sheer physical reality of the natural world rising up.
And then they round that final bend. The moment of revelation.
Yeah.
The sources say Tolkien delivers one of his most satisfying reversals in all of literature right here.
What do they see?
The Great Ring of Isengard. That supposedly impregnable, colossal iron wall. It's not scarred by catapults or rams, it's just flooded and wrecked.
Flooded and wrecked. The expectation of a long, hard siege is literally drowned.
Utterly drowned out by the sight of ruin. We really need to pause and visualize how complete this destruction is. It's key to understanding the theme here.
Paint the picture for us.
The sources give us these images. The great stone towers, symbols of Saruman's power. They're leaning, tilted precariously.
Because the ground is soaked.
Exactly. Their foundations are compromised. And even more symbolic, the machinery. Saruman's obsession, the engine driving his entire evil plan. It's lying drowned, submerged in deep, muddy floodwater.
All those forges and wheels. Scrap metal underwater.
And the gates. Those mighty gates, probably made of iron, stone from Orthanc itself, They're just gaping uselessly, twisted, broken, completely pointless as defenses now.
It's the ultimate humiliation, isn't it? He chose technology brittle and fast over the enduring strength of nature.
And now his precious technology is just waterlogged junk.
Hang on, let's push
Yeah.
back on this a bit. The Ents. They're famous for being slow, right? Treebeard himself is incredibly deliberate, cautious, slow to think, slow to act.
Famously so. Hasty is not an Entish word.
So, if this victory feels so sudden, so decisive to the heroes arriving just after, doesn't that feel a bit inconsistent? How did the slowest creatures in Middle-earth manage this swift, decisive justice?
That's a really sharp point. And I think the key is the difference between the speed of deciding and the speed of acting.
Ah, explain that.
The Ents are slow to anger. Very slow to decide to get involved. Remember the Ent mood, it takes ages. But once they do decide, once they reach that point of commitment,
Then what?
then their sheer physical power is, well, it's catastrophic. Saruman's mistake wasn't just underestimating their will to act. It was underestimating their mass and raw strength when finally roused.
So, when they marched on Isengard, it wasn't like a normal army attacking.
Not at all. It was more like a force of nature meeting an immovable object. And the object gave way. It was less a battle, more an event of geological scale.
And how did they actually do it? Did they just smash the walls?
Smashing was part of it, yes. But the truly strategic move, the sources indicate, was using water. They didn't just pound the gates. They deliberately diverted the river Isen.
By breaking the dam, the one Saruman built.
Precisely. The one he built to power his underground mills and forges. When they unleashed that river, they weren't just flooding the surface courtyard.
They were targeting something deeper.
They were targeting Saruman's greatest secret. His huge network under Isengard. Tunnels, pits, vaults. That's where he bred the Uruk-hai, stored weapons, kept his supplies.
Oh, wow. So the flooding wasn't just superficial damage.
No, it was existential for his war effort. By releasing the river, the Ents didn't just breach the outer walls, they destroyed the logistical and biological foundation of his entire operation,
Drowning the orc pits, washing away the stores.
rendering his hidden industry completely useless. That flooding makes the defeat total, comprehensive, and the victors, the ones who did this,
The last ones anyone expected.
the seemingly slow and ancient shepherds of the forest, the Ents. They utterly humbled this fortress, turning it into a muddy, watery grave for Saruman's ambition and his technology.
This takes us straight into the deeper meaning, doesn't it? The thematic power of the Ents. Their victory is way more than just a clever military tactic.
Oh, absolutely. It's a profound moral statement. Fundamentally, it's a rebuke of Saruman's reckless industrialization. Think about how Saruman saw Fangorn Forest, the very place he lived next to. He didn't see life, he saw resources. Wood to burn, space to dig, fuel for his rapid, aggressive expansion.
He prioritized speed and destruction over harmony.
Exactly. He violated the ancient life of the world he, as a wizard, was supposed to protect. He chose progress over balance.
And that's the core of his hubris, right?
Absolutely. He fundamentally underestimated the very beings he thought too ponderous to act. He looked at the Ents and saw relics, things stuck on a geological clock, moving at the speed of growing trees.
While he was operating on this hyper-efficient military timeline, production, deployment speed.
He dismissed that slow, quiet strength of the natural world because it didn't fit his modern, efficient view of power. He thought it was irrelevant.
But it's the ancient, patient power that ultimately brings down the new, destructive kind.
Precisely. And the catharsis we feel as readers is huge, because Tolkien directly connects defending the environment with narrative satisfaction. The message is crystal clear.
What is that message?
Nature, when it's pushed too far, when it's truly roused, it doesn't respond with clever tricks or siege engines. It responds with raw, elemental, overwhelming force.
A reminder that the natural world operates on a scale, a timeline, that just dwarfs any temporary man-made power.
And look at the poetry of their weapon. Saruman used fire, cutting, grinding, the tools of industry and destruction.
What did the Ents use?
Water, earth,
Oh,
wood, the elements of life and growth. They literally turned the building blocks of the world against him.
it's beautiful in a terrifying way.
It is. That contrast, slow, quiet strength versus rapid industrial might, isn't just a literary theme for Tolkien. It feels like a moral imperative. Saruman believed speed and efficiency were everything.
And the Ents proved him wrong.
They proved that deep roots, immense patience, and the ability to mobilize the forces of nature itself, those are ultimately insurmountable when you're defending the ancient balance.
Okay, so just as we're all absorbing this,
Yeah.
the heroes, the readers, The sheer scale of this defeat, this environmental
The
justice,
spectacle of ruin.
the whole narrative just pivots,
Mhm.
completely flips. It's kind of genius, tonally.
What happens next?
Amidst all the wreckage, the flooded machines, the leaning towers, we get this sudden dose of something totally different. Emotional relief, comedy, genuine warmth.
Uh, the Hobbits?
The company finds a site that the sources nail perfectly.
Hmm.
It's both comic and heartwarming. They stumble upon Merry and Pippin.
It's such brilliant narrative dissonance, isn't it? You have the highest stakes imaginable, the ruin of major villain's fortress, immediately followed by this incredibly endearing, almost domestic scene.
Totally. Two hobbits, seemingly unharmed and actually in really high spirits.
And the details are just iconic. They're essential to what Tolkien's doing here.
Right, they aren't like hiding in the rubble or traumatized.
No, they're lounging, cheerfully. The text specifically notes they're smoking pipeweed.
Which is the ultimate hobbit pastime, right? Deeply domestic, calming.
And they're feasting, as though on a country holiday, the source says. They've basically raided Saruman's pantry.
Found his stash of long bottom leaf and good food.
They've claimed the spoils of war, Hobbit style.
The contrast with the arriving company is just hilarious. You've got Théoden, Aragorn, Gimli. They're covered in mud, exhausted, armor dented, mentally prepping for maybe a final desperate fight.
And there are Merry and Pippin, looking utterly relaxed, enjoying the best meal they've had in weeks, presiding over this catastrophic ruin like two country squires who've just finished a successful hunt.
And the line that just seals it, it's become totally iconic. Their breezy welcome,
They just look up at these battle-hardened heroes.
fresh from near death, and say with perfect cool, "Welcome to Isengard, gentlemen."
It just cuts through everything. All the grimness, the stress, the epic scale. It injects this sharp, necessary levity.
It's the sound of ordinary life somehow managing to persist, even thrive right in the middle of sophisticated, world-ending evil.
It's like narrative shock treatment. For the characters and for us reading it, everyone desperately needs that moment. They arrive braced for a fight and they get invited to a picnic instead.
It's a total reset. Reminds everyone what they're actually fighting to protect.
So let's dig into the purpose of this reunion, because it's doing more than just moving the plot along. It serves, I think, three really powerful functions here.
Okay, what are they?
First, as we said, it's emotional relief and humor. Pure and simple. It's a pressure valve release.
Tolkien knew you can't just have relentless grimness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That relentless pace of war stories needs these moments of genuine humanity. The simple joy of finding your friends safe, alive, and weirdly thriving. It's the necessary counterweight to all the devastation they've witnessed.
Makes sense. What's the second function?
It provides crucial perspective. Their lightheartedness, their intense focus on simple sensory pleasures, good tobacco, tasty food, chatting reminds the weary company and us of the simple pleasures worth fighting for.
Right. When you're caught up in the huge scale, the fate of the world, Saruman, it's easy to forget what peace or home actually feels like.
And here are the hobbits, sitting right in the heart of industrial destruction, embodying the very domestic peace the war is trying to stamp out. It's a powerful juxtaposition.
Okay, relief and perspective. What's the third one? This feels important for their characters.
It is. It's about growth and transformation. Merry and Pippin are fundamentally changed by their time with the Ents.
They're not the same hobbits who fled the Shire.
Not at all. They're not the slightly bumbling, naive pair anymore. They've gained real confidence and independence. They've been through something huge.
They're now eyewitnesses and participants in world-shaping events, as the source puts it, not just baggage.
Think about it. They are the ones who managed to rouse the Ents to action, something wizards and kings couldn't do by force.
That's a huge accomplishment.
They saw Saruman's ruin firsthand, survived it, and are now comfortable. They've gone from being sheltered kids from the provinces to being effective agents in the world.
So the pipeweed and feasting isn't them being silly.
I don't think so. I think it's a sign of their newfound confidence, their status. They're celebrating their victory in their own way, with the simple domestic joys that are the true heart of the Shire they're fighting for. They've earned it.
That's a great way to look at it. They've grown into themselves.
So if we connect all this back to the bigger picture, this whole chapter, The Road to Isengard, it's not just a bridge between battles. It's a really profound anchor point for the whole story, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It feels packed with meaning.
It's incredibly rich with literary themes, philosophical ideas, maybe even political ones, depending on how you read it. It moves the plot, but also reinforces some of Tolkien's deepest concerns.
Okay, let's dig into those major themes then. What resonates most strongly from this scene?
Well, the first big one, which we've touched on a lot, is nature versus industry. But let's go a bit deeper into the philosophy of it.
Okay.
Saruman's obsession, his drive for rapid mechanization, for progress at any cost, it meets its absolute natural limit here. This is Tolkien making a powerful statement, I think,
About
about the temporary nature of human technological power when it directly confronts the deep, ancient forces of the world itself. Saruman thinks in terms of machine lifespans, immediate fuel needs.
ephemeral things.
Right. The Ents, they operate on the scale of forests, the course of rivers, permanent things. The chapter basically teaches that the speed of industrial exploitation is absolutely no match for the ultimate crushing weight of the living environment it tries to dominate.
Speed versus weight, that's a powerful contrast.
And that ties straight into the second big theme, unexpected allies. The whole victory here hinges on those who are overlooked or underestimated.
That's a recurring idea in the whole saga, isn't it?
It runs all the way through. The hobbits themselves small, generally ignored by the great powers, and here the Ents dismissed as slow, ancient, irrelevant relics.
Saruman certainly thought so. Too slow to matter in his fast-paced war.
Big mistake. Because in the end, they delivered the precise blow needed. A combination of raw natural force and this deep ancient rage. It was something the armies of men or elves probably couldn't have achieved with swords and bows, not against Isengard's design.
They brought the right kind of power for that specific enemy.
Exactly. Which brings us to the third theme, the cycles of power. This chapter feels like a fundamental rule of Middle-earth being asserted.
What rule is that?
That even the mightiest figures, powerful wizards with immense knowledge, magic, technology, they are still subject to the greater order. Saruman's hubris, his belief he could control and reshape nature itself.
It invites his downfall. Guarantees it, maybe.
I think so. When he tried to subjugate the world around him, digging deep, cutting down Fangorn, the world eventually hit back. And he hit back with the very elements he despised and tried to control. Water and earth.
It's a powerful lesson. Unchecked, destructive power is ultimately self-defeating.
It seems to be a core principle in Tolkien's world. Reverence matters. Balance matters.
Now, moving beyond the themes, just how Tolkien tells this story. It's masterful, especially managing that huge shift in tone and stakes we talked about.
Oh, his craftsmanship here is brilliant. He seems to delight in the juxtaposition of tones.
How do you mean?
He deliberately slams these contrasting moods right up against each other. You have the sheer grandeur of the ruined stronghold, this epic, almost terrifying scale of destruction, stone and water.
And right next to it,
The whimsical banter of hobbits. And then layered on top of that, the deep philosophical weight of Treebeard's observations when he arrives later. This extreme range is what makes the chapter stick with you.
it stops it from just being a report on a battle aftermath.
Exactly. It creates this fully realized moment where laughter and profound loss, comedy and epic ruin can actually exist side by side, which feels very true to life in a way.
And his descriptions, they create this huge visual scale, but it still feels personal.
Yes, the source calls it an almost cinematic sweep while retaining a storyteller's intimacy. He uses these incredibly sharp, specific details.
Like what? Give us an example.
Well, think about what details really stick in your memory years after reading it. It's not just the fortress was flooded. It's the specific sound Tolkien gives us. Water rushing through shattered gates.
You can almost hear that, the sound of Saruman's defenses being breached and washed away.
It's the sound of his power ending. And then the visual image. The Ents standing guard afterwards, like living towers.
That gives you the scale instantly. How massive, how immovable this victorious natural force was.
It feels epic, monumental. But we're seeing it through the eyes of this small group of exhausted travelers and two very comfortable hobbits smoking pipes. That mix of epic scale and intimate perspective is pure Tolkien.
So if we had to give a final assessment of this chapter's role,
I'd say The Road to Isengard is much less about a conventional battle and much more a celebration of consequences. It's the moment where the moral rules of Middle-earth powerfully reassert themselves.
the consequences of Saruman's actions catching up with him.
In a very physical, undeniable way. It acts as the perfect counterpoint to the desperate struggle at Helm's Deep, after that bloody, tactical defense against overwhelming odds.
We get this. The quiet, inevitable victory of the natural world over arrogance and exploitation.
The fall of Isengard is the first truly definitive sign, the undeniable proof that the tide is turning in the War of the Ring. It proves that even the strongest, most self-contained industrial evil isn't invincible. It can be defeated by forces that operate on a completely different, more enduring timescale.
So we started this deep dive expecting, a desperate, tough siege, maybe days or weeks of fighting.
High drama, clashing armies.
And instead, what we found was a verdict, already delivered, not by soldiers, but by the forest itself.
A judgment executed by nature.
Yeah. The chapter gives us this amazing 1-2 punch. First, that quiet, slow, but utterly inevitable victory of nature over hubris and destructive industry.
And then immediately after, that emotional warmth, the reunion, the Hobbits, the reminder of what simple joy and real peace actually look like.
So, what does this all really mean for us, thinking about it now?
Well, the lesson baked into Isengard's ruin seems pretty clear, doesn't it? The biggest threats to power, maybe, don't always come from the enemies you expect, the armies you prepare for.
They come from the forces you dismiss.
Exactly. From the deep, enduring things that the powerful overlook or just choose to ignore because of their own arrogance. Saruman put all his faith in stone and iron, in speed, in immediate results.
And he completely ignored the power of wood and water, of life, patience, slow growth.
He ignored the very world he stood upon.
It's a powerful lesson in paying attention, maybe, in reverence for things beyond our immediate control or understanding.
Think so.
So here's a final thought for you listening. Reflect on that idea of quiet strength. Saruman dismissed the power source that was ancient, slow, maybe inconveniently rooted in tradition or the natural world, but it turned out to be overwhelming when finally provoked.
The power he couldn't quantify or control.
So ask yourself, what enduring, quiet power might you be underestimating? In your own life, your work, your world, something to maybe mull over as the tide turns.
A good thought to end on.
Thank you again for sharing all these sources for this deep dive. It's been fascinating unpacking this chapter.
My pleasure. Always great to talk Tolkien.
We'll catch you on the next one. Me